going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on a 2007 Chevy Tahoe. Came in, customer needed, complained about a noise. Upon inspection, it's a common thing for the 2007 Tahoes, Yukons, anything with a 5.3 or 6.2 liter engine. That's not a Cadillac. If it's in a Cadillac, it doesn't have this issue. But if it's a Tahoe, Silverado, anything that has a 5.3 or a 6.0 or a 6.2 liter LS based engine is going to have this issue. As you can see, we got this thing up on the left. We're about to let it down, show you what's going on under the hood. Basically, they have a system that's called Drive on Demand, DOD. What happens is it goes from, I know most people have heard about it, it goes from 6-cylinder to 8-cylinder to 4-cylinder, but controlled by the computer in a piece that's called the VLOM. VLOM. It's a oil control manifold that sits on top of the motor where the valley plate is, or it replaces the valley plate. Controls oil flow to the lifters by the computer. What that does, it actually causes the lifters not to operate. So the vehicle can shut off the injectors and coils to that cylinder, and basically it can go from 4 to 6 to 8 cylinders on the fly. A lot of vehicles, especially if you don't keep up with the oil changes, or sometimes they've had them at 10 and 15,000 miles when this system was first developed, that would just literally start it up one morning to be tap, 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 tap. And I've had some of them come in here that have literally had all of them dead, where the truck was literally running on 4 cylinders, but the computer inside is thinking it's running on 8. So it's a horrible sound. It pops through the intake. It's drinks gas. It's just horrible for the motor. Usually with some of the G8s and the Camaros, we usually do what's called the DOD delete, where we take all of that stuff out and we put all LS3 style and LS7 style injectors in it to eliminate that system. This is a work truck. The guy drives it every day. He owns a construction company, so he's not going to look to be doing that. He really just wants the truck put back to stock so that way he can be able to operate it the way he's operated it for the 160,000 miles he's had it up until now. As you can see, she's a rough girl. She been worked. This definitely ain't her first trip around the moon, but we're gonna go ahead, get it down off the air. We're gonna go show you what's going on under the hood. Basically, it's literally a stock vehicle. Other than brakes and oil changes, I don't know what's been possibly done to this truck, honestly. But yesterday we actually did get the exhaust down. I did get some video of that. Got the exhaust loose because that's the main thing that needs to come loose, because the cylinder heads actually have to come off this vehicle in order to get to the lifters. We're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that the cam isn't wiped on it. That's another common issue with these, more so with the Dodges than these. But what they'll do is the camshaft will wipe. The lobes, which are the tall parts of the camshaft that actually the lifters ride on, that'll actually completely wipe itself off the camshaft, and then the cylinder will be completely dead even if you change the lifter. So we're going to hope that this doesn't need a camshaft. We have pretty much everything we need here to swap it out. We have our head gaskets, we have our head bolts, we have valve cover gaskets, intake gaskets. I'm about to go pick the lifters up from the store now. Honestly, we use some Delphi replacement units because lifters are like, getting a GM lifter like right now is like trying to find a leprechaun. Like, you're not going to find it pretty much anywhere. So we're going to go with some Delphi units. We're going to get this torn down today. We're going to try to round trip this in one day. We're going to try to tear it down, show you what we got going on, show you what failed, get it back together, and get it running today. So that's the goal. Stick with me. I'm going to go ahead and let this down, and we're going to start tearing it apart. And here we go. This is what we got. This is what we're dealing with today. Like I said, completely stopped 2007 Chevy Tahoe 5.3. You can see, whew, look at those wires. Yeah, we're gonna have to hit the customer on that one because them puppies is smooth. So we got to get them some plugs and wires for this thing, because I can guarantee you those ain't been changed in 3 million years. Ooh, serpentine belt looks the same way. I'll give him a ring, see what he wants to do, but at the end of the day, definitely wires. I guarantee you every wire on this car is going to break when I go to take it off. But basically, we're going to be pulling. This is just a cover. We're going to pull the intake off. We're going to pull the actual intake manifold off, the alternator, power steering bracket. We'll just separate the water pump just enough to get the coolant to drain. If I can focus, there we go. Get the thermostat, well, not thermostat, but get the water pump loose so that way we can drain the coolant level below the head so that way we can pull them off and not waste it all on the floor. And that's pretty much it. This is a pretty simple cut and dry job. The hardest part is getting the exhaust loose. Everything else pretty much comes apart like butter. So we're going to go ahead and start tearing into this in a few minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get the camera set up so that way you can either do a time lapse or just do a straight video. I'm going to break down once I get to certain steps, like we're going to show the failure, we're going to show the failure point, and basically just this informative video. If you have one of these vehicles, like I said, 2007 to 2013, Chevy Tahoe, Chevy Silverado, GMC Yukon Denali, GMC Yukon, this is a common failure. If you start hearing the tapping noise, stop driving it. Like I said, I'm in Jersey. If you're in Jersey, come holler at me. If you're not in Jersey, take it to your local mechanic, be like, look, I hear tapping noise. It's coming from the top of the motor. I need it looked at, because you definitely don't want to keep driving it, because what you're going to do is you're going to do more damage, or you're going to wipe the motor out. So get it looked at if you hear this noise. But I'll show you what the failure point is in a few once we get it tore down, and we'll take it from there. What in the hell? Wait, what? Yo. I hope y'all saw that, because that isn't... That's antifreeze. What in the... Huh? Okay. That's new. I haven't seen that ever happen before, ever. What in the hell? I don't know why antifreeze just came out of the intake, but that's never a good look. Okay. I'm gonna get some rags. Okay. Slightly confused. Yeah, that's antifreeze. That's not water. I'm curious to take the oil out. Now I want to drain the oil, because that was crazy. Oh man, I'm so glad that wasn't on a time lapse. I'm glad y'all saw that with me. Now, I hope y'all as curious as I am to find out why the intake had a gallon of water in it. Well, no, antifreeze. Okay. Oh yeah, look. See this, guys? See the breather? This is what breathes the exhaust gases or the compression gases back into the intake so it can get burned up. You see it's clogged with mud from coolant or condensation. I don't get that, but okay. We're gonna keep tearing this down and see what we find. That was crazy. Never seen that. Never had that happen to me before. Ever. Wow. What does the oil look like? The oil's clean. You guys see that? Oil is perfectly clean. Look, it was just changed. Boy. I don't see what's in this intake now. Coil packs, or at least the ones for the driver's side. Ooh, let me show you guys this. Yeah, I don't think this truck has ever seen this valve cover off. That is supposed to be silver. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you guys what a regular valve cover is supposed to look like. That's not it. But yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put it on time lapse, get the whole rest, get the intake, get the other side apart, get these valve covers all the way off, and then show you guys what the failure point is. Well, actually, what the failure is. The failure point I can't show you until I take the heads off. But at least I'll be able to show you what the failure is, which is why it's making the noise and why it's got a check engine light and a misfire. I just jumped back in real quick because I just got the driver's side valve cover off. Holy Jesus. Look at these rockers. And I told you this was a work truck. I wasn't lying to you. Look at the rockers on that. Now, don't get me wrong. Take this motor, change the oil, slap a turbo on it, you probably go nines. But this is ridiculous. Whew. That is like one oil change a year. Maybe two. Maybe. Possibly. Well, can't wait to see what the other side looks like. Yay, me. Yeah, here we go. This gets better and better. First, you find antifreeze in the intake, right? Then you come in after you take the intake off, and you find parts left over. That's my socket back there hiding, but yeah. When you got an oil pressure switch hiding next to an oil pressure switch where the oil pressure switch is supposed to be, you got a problem. This thing is rough. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get the other valve cover and the coils and everything off the other side so we can see if we got a matching set of junk or we got something that we can work on. This is the side, I know it's kind of hard to see, but this is the side right here that had the valve cover that had the connector to it right here, the breather, that had the intake full of water. So I wanted to turn off the time lapse and actually turn on the regular camera. So I want to get a picture of this when I pull it off. Oh wow, surprisingly, it actually looks better than the other side did. It's not as black and not as burnt up. But yeah, let's look at the inside of the valve cover. Yeah, the inside of the valve cover is definitely focused. Definitely seen better days. But, and so is the outside, but it definitely doesn't have any water in it. So maybe during the storm it got water in it and just never came out. Maybe got lucky. But got both valve covers off, got the intake off. So what we're gonna do now is gonna put it in an air, pop the water pump loose so that way we can drain the antifreeze down, and then we're gonna start taking the heads, valve trainer loose, and start taking the heads off. Guess I'll go ahead, start a time lapse and get a shot of that for you guys, and then we're gonna show you what's going on with the lifters. All right, got the other valve cover off, and on this side of the motor, you have cylinder deactivation on this cylinder right here, which is going to be cylinder 4, which those rockers are fine. But if you go to cylinder 6, I'm trying to get you guys in here. Cylinder 6, intake valve is tight. Oh, this harness is flat. Cylinder 6 exhaust, if it'll focus, try to get the focus for you guys. There we go. There's no tension on the rocker, so that means that lifter failed. That lifter is completely collapsed, which matches up with what the customer stated about the car driving fine one night and then the next morning coming outside and it was ticking. That's your ticket. So that's warranting. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna pull the heads off the motor. Since we're already tore down this far, we're gonna drain the coolant, tear the heads off, and then show you what the actual failure point is, which will be the lifter on that cylinder. All right, so we got the heads all cleaned up. We got all the valve train parts all cleaned up. But I did notice when I took the motor apart that, well, first of all, we got to clean the heads and get the dowel pins out. Whenever you do an LS motor, make sure you knock the dowel pins out of the head because a lot of times it gets stuck. Make sure you knock the dowel pins out and put them back in the block before you lay the head gasket down after you clean the surface. And you look at it right here, same thing on this head. But the main problem is on both heads, if you wait until they focus, get it to focus for you guys. You see broken stud here for the exhaust. And this one broke, but there's enough of the stud sticking out to where as though we can get it out. Same thing on the other cylinder head. two of the back studs came out. So we're gonna go ahead and get the welder fired up, and we're gonna show you how to remove those dowel pins, and clean the heads and get them ready to go back on. Quick little trick. Cylinder head, got this one, first one all cleaned up. Got the deck surface all clean, got all the head gasket debris off of it. The dowel pins, right? Focus. See the dowel pins? Take the cheapest screwdriver you can find, flathead. Take the cheapest flathead screwdriver you can find, bend it up on an angle like that. That way when you spin the head around, put it in the hole, there's a little gap. In that hole, you hear that click? When you push up, the bottom of the screwdriver locks down on the back of the dowel pin. Tap it with a hammer, and it'll fly right out. 2 seconds. Alright, fast forward a whole bunch of work. Got the cylinder heads back on the motor. Got them all torqued down. 3 sets of 3 go-rounds. First 22 foot-pounds. Then you got to do a 90-degree angle torque and a 70-degree angle torque to get the heads all bolted down. Got them all cleaned up. Got the push rods checked and back in. About to put the valve train back together. Go ahead and get the manifolds back on. Spark plugs, wires. Couple other things. You see me put the intake back on, and then we're gonna go ahead and try to fire it up. So it's a lot of work, but it ain't hard work. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna finish up getting everything put together, so that way we can go ahead and get it running, get it back to the customer today. We're actually into day 2. If you notice, shirt's different, hat's a little different. We ended up shutting it down last night because we couldn't get the lifters, so we ended up picking back up today with the time lapse that you see beforehand. Just putting the heads on, everything on, so that way we're getting the heads and everything prepped to go back together. So we're here now, got the heads back on. We're going to go ahead and start putting the valve train in. Valve covers, intake manifold, exhaust manifolds, and go ahead and get it started. Alright, here we go. We got it all back together. About to hook up the exhaust, and we're going to get you a start in about a couple seconds. Stand by, everybody. Get the first start. Show you what she sound like now. There we go. All back together. Running smooth. No more rattle. Bleeding the coolant right now. No exhaust leaks. No squeaks. Got all that together. What? Thanks for tuning into this video. Let me show you though what caused the problem. Right here, you got what's called AFM lifter. Active fuel management. It comes on most of the newer Chevys and the newer Dodges. This is what a lifter is supposed to normally look like. It has this spring that's supposed to suck in when the computer turns off that cylinder and expand when you turn it back on. It's another one, same way. It's another one off of the cylinder that was not firing. Fine, right? Then we have the exhaust one. You see how it's shorter? This is the default. This is the default with AFM lifters. Oil is supposed to be pumped into this little hole, which actually allows this lifter to collapse. When it turns off the oil flow, this little lock is supposed to release, and it's supposed to let the lifter expand so the cylinder will start firing again. This is the failure. The other failure with these lifters, which isn't on these particular ones, is the roller will literally lock in place and it'll flatten the camshaft, because this roller is what allows the camshaft to move freely without destroying it. So there's your failure. Change the lifters, change the oil, you know, everything that you need to change to get to it, as you saw in the video, and you get back rolling. So she's all together, ready for the customer. That'll be it for today. Thanks for tuning into the channel. It's a short little video just to show you, like I said, every once in a while you're going to get a sprinkle of a video that shows you just the normal in and out stuff that comes into the shop. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. If you see anything that you would, you know, suggest for the videos, or something that you like to see, or breakdown of something that you like done, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. And I'm out. Peace.